Miss Lang? I meant for the day. School's out, Miss Lang. I meant give it up for the day.
I know what you meant.
Then why are you crying?
I'm terrible. I'm terrible, Mr. Owen. I practiced and I was well.
Miss Lang,
I don't want to make
it's
this
a lot
noise.
of work to learn a musical instrument.
I just want to be good at something. My sister's got a ballet scholarship to go to Juilliard, and my brother's going to Notre Dame on a football scholarship. My mother's won the blue ribbon for watercolors at the state fair so many times they've retired the category. My father's got the most beautiful voice. I'm the only one in my family who's... I just can't... It doesn't make any difference anyway.
And this time, no music.
Oh, what?
Because you already know it. It's already in your head and your fingers and your heart. You just don't trust yourself to know that. Okay. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's do it again. And this time, not so much lip on the mouthpiece.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh.
All right, no, don't do that. Let me ask you a question.
What?
When you look in the mirror, what do you like best about yourself?
My hair?
Why?
My father always says that it reminds him of a sunset.
Play the sunset. Close your eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't stop playing.
That, of course, was Mr. Howell's Opus. That was a movie that came out in 1995 starring Richard Dreyfuss. And it's a story about a man by the name of Glenn Howland, fictional character, who Glenn has a plan for his life. He knows what he's going to do with his life. He has it all mapped out. He's going to sit at his piano, and he's going to compose music. And he's going to create great symphonies. And he just knows that that's what his calling is in life. But then life happens, and he gets sidetracked. In his case, the bills have to be paid. He has a wife. He has to pay rent. He has to put food on the table, all those kinds of things. And writing music doesn't do that at first. So he has to find a stopgap measure, which means that he got a teaching certificate. As well, just in case, a fallback position, as he called it. When he talked to his principal the first time, he told her he had no idea how he ever got here or why he ever got here, never expected it. And so he's got to pay the bills. So his plan is go to school, put in his hours, do his thing. After school and on weekends, he'll do what he's really supposed to do, write music. And it doesn't work very well because he hates his job. He hates the principal. He hates the students. He hates everything about teaching. And he's resentful that he has to do all of these things, spend 8 hours a day in that classroom. He's resentful of the fact that he sits at night grading papers. Meanwhile, his piano is in the corner, unplayed, with blank sheets of paper sitting on it, his symphonies unwritten. And he resents it. He hates it. Until something happens. Actually, many somethings. There is, first of all, the principal who catches him in the hallway one day and says, I've noticed the way you sprint out of the building. And that she notices that while he's an adequate teacher and he teaches all the right things, he's not giving the students what they most need, a compass. It comes to him again in the classroom full of students that he has. And that classroom, they are as bored silly with his teaching as he is bored silly with teaching them. And they make it clear. And then the scene we just saw, the young lady who is playing the clarinet, learning to play the clarinet, and she can't play through the break. And that becomes sort of the focal point for all the ways she is a failure in life. And all she wants is someone to help her. And then finally she has one more messenger, his wife, who tells him that they're about to have a baby. Messengers come. And in the process, those messages start to change him. Do you see what happened there? All of a sudden now, he sees that his purpose in life starts to become different. It's not his idea, it's not his purpose, but there's something larger and more important waiting for him. And that purpose has been right in front of him all the time. But the very thing that he has hated, the very thing that has taken him away from his purpose, now becomes so chock full of meaning and so loaded with purpose that his life has taken a direction that he never imagined and never expected. And the impact of his life on others would be far greater than anything that he could have imagined as a composer. And all of this happens because he was sidetracked. His plans got trumped by someone else's plans. Let's sing. Well, I thought about all this as I thought about the story that Jennifer just read to us from the book of Matthew, the first chapter, because there are so many parallels. It's the story of the birth of Jesus, but it's really the story from Joseph's perspective. And Joseph is a character we don't know much about. He's in the story at the birth story, and he's in the story in the Gospels when Jesus is 12 years old. But beyond that, we don't know a lot about him. But, you know, you can assume some things. First of all, Joseph had plans and dreams for his life. He had a fiancée. Her name was Mary. I'm sure that he'd planned on eventually marrying Mary and that they would have a family together. Marrying Mary, you like that? And that they would have a family together. And they would create this family business of carpentry. And that maybe over time, their children would get married and have children themselves. And then there'd be grandchildren. I'm sure he had plans and dreams just like that. And I'm sure he knew that, well, you know, I'm never going to make a lot of money. I'm never going to be a big splash in the world. I'm not going to be a Caesar or a Pontius Pilate or someone with great power. But you know, I don't need all of that. I've got my wife. I'm investing my life in her. I'll have my children, I'll have my grandchildren, I'll have my business, I'll have the people around me, and that's good enough. And then life happens. That's where we pick up the story today. And by the way, when we read the Bible stories, let's just all agree to something. Let's take the varnish off the Bible stories and read them as they really are. I think sometimes we have this idea when we read Bible stories that the people in the Bible are different than us, and that they're somewhat insulated from all of the real life that you and I experience every day, and that they're saved because they have some special knowledge of God that we don't have. Let's throw that one away right now, because that's not what happens. In the Bible, the people in the Bible are real people with real hopes, real dreams, real lives, and real trials and real troubles. And this passage, this story, is a perfect example of just that. Joseph has plans and dreams for his life. They include a wife, children, grandchildren, a job, and a family, and a community. And then life happens. And his fiancée tells him that she's carrying a child, and it's not his. The Bible doesn't tell us exactly what's going through Joseph's mind, but it isn't hard to imagine. Put yourself in that place. He doesn't have any special knowledge of God. There's no divine light hitting him that shines out of the darkness with a booming voice from heaven that tells him this is where it's going and this is what's going to happen. It's Joseph and Mary behind closed doors, and Mary drops the bomb on him. That's what it is. And it doesn't say it in the Bible, but there's got to be disappointment there. There's got to be heartbreak. There's got to be resentment. There's got to be hurt. There's got to be this sense that all of my plans have just gone crashing on somebody's rocks and broken to pieces. It's just like us. Real life. Plans, hopes, dreams. And then comes the bomb, whatever it happens to be. And sometimes they're big bombs, and sometimes they're little bombs. But life's directions always get changed. Our plans always get messed up because that's what happens in life. And so Joseph has all this in front of him. This real life with these real disappointments and these real sorrows and these real troubles. And what he sees at first are really just two choices. He can either take the path of revenge, which would be publicly divorcing Mary. And by revenge, that's exactly what I mean, because that kind of public divorce in those days and times carried with it, for Mary, a death sentence. Or he could take the path of quiet resentment. Walk away, not tell anybody, just let it go, and continue on, try to pick up the broken pieces of his life without her. Those are the only two choices he sees. Until, of course, something happens. In the Bible, it says, an angel came to Joseph in a dream. All right, let's take the varnish off that one too. Okay, because when you hear the word angel, I know what you're thinking. White robes, halo, and wings, they fly around heaven and sing a lot, right? That's what you think of when you think of angel. Angel, all it is a Greek word, transliterated angel, and it means messenger. A messenger has come to Joseph with a vision that there might be more than two choices. There might be another possibility. Now, for Mr. Holland, those messengers came in the form of the principal and that class of students and the clarinetist and his wife. We're not told exactly who this messenger is for Joseph and how he comes in this dream. Doesn't matter. But messengers always come to us with new possibilities. Do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife. And this child, consider this possibility, Joseph. This child is not the bane of your existence and not the cause of all of your broken and shattered pieces of life. But this child has come to change you, to change Mary, and to change the rest of the world. In fact, in Matthew's gospel, Jesus is not only called Jesus, but he's called Emmanuel. Strip the varnish off that one. It's a word that means God with us. So notice how Emmanuel comes. He doesn't come in the perfect place in life where all the plans and dreams are in order. He comes in the trial and the trouble and the hurt and the disappointment. And God is there with Joseph, not in spite of those things, but in and through those things. Because that's where God is best able to reach Joseph's heart. And that's where God is best able to reach your heart. And that's where God is best able to reach my heart. Let's sing. So there's one other passage I'd like you to keep in mind. You could open your Bibles and look at it a little bit later. It's Isaiah chapter 55, verse 8. It says, your hopes are not my hopes, your thoughts are not my thoughts, and my dreams are not your dreams. This is God speaking to us. God has a different way for us. So we've been talking about purpose in life here this morning, and what's your purpose and what's your direction in life. And, I don't know the full answer to that, but I do know this, that all of us have plans and dreams, and I can promise you one thing with all those plans and dreams, that at some point along the way, in some way, and maybe in many ways, those plans, those dreams, those hopes, everything you've got mapped out for your future are going to get dashed on somebody's rocks. I will also tell you that this is not God's doing. God doesn't just set roadblocks in front of you just for the fun of it. That's just cruel. It's not the way he works. It is the way life happens, though, isn't it? I tell you these things not because they're prophesied that they have to happen. I tell you these things because this is the way life happens. And when we get into those situations, I can also promise you that you're going to see a host of choices. Resentment, hurt, revenge, trial, trouble, just wondering what's next and why this has to happen to me. And I will tell you also that while God didn't author this thing, God uses it. He uses the detours in your life to draw you closer to him. See, that's the way it works. I mean, if I just were to lay out a bunch of facts here, you could shake your head and agree, yeah, those are all right. It's all head knowledge. It's all intellectual. But that's not where God wants to be. He doesn't want to just be in the head. You got to know that stuff. It's important to know it. But where he wants to be is in the trenches of your real life. He is Emmanuel. He is God with us. And he comes there. He uses all of those things that you would consider a minus sign in your life. And he turns them to ways that he creeps into your heart. And then he begins to mold and change you so that you can see other possibilities and other purposes for your life. Something might happen and you might think your life is over. And that's God's turning point. He uses it to change the direction of your life so that all of a sudden you become a blessing to others. I mean, how many times has that happened? You've been in a situation. You've been hurting. God has walked with you through it. And then you see someone who sits next to you at work or someone who's at the desk beside you at school, and they're going through pretty much the same kind of thing you are. And all of a sudden, all of that knowledge of God walking with you becomes ways that you connect with that person who's hurting beside you. And God uses your hurt to change you. And then God uses you to change others. That's the way God's purpose works in life. I'd like to show you one more clip from Mr. Holland's opus. See what I mean.
Mr. Holland had a profound influence on my life, on a lot of lives, I know. And yet I get the feeling that he considers a great part of his own life misspent. Rumor had it he was always working on this symphony of his, and this was going to make him famous, rich, probably both. But Mr. Holland isn't rich, and he isn't famous, at least not outside of our little town. So it might be easy for him to think himself a failure. And he would be wrong. Because I think he's achieved a success far beyond riches and fame. Look around you. There is not a life in this room that you have not touched. And each one of us is a better person because of you. We are your symphony, Mr. Holland. We are the melodies and the notes of your opus. And we are the music of your life.
And it all started with a detour. And some angels, some messengers. And that's how it works in your life as well. You got detours? Welcome to the club. We all do. But those are the contact points for God in your life. And the way he walks with you through all of that, and the way over time he brings healing, becomes God's opportunity for you to change the life of the person next to you and the people all around you. So that it is not just your star and not just your purpose. This is God's purpose for you. Be open to it. I know it hurts when the directions change and life happens. I understand that. I'm there myself. But God will use those things. Walk with him and know that he is with you and that he will change your life and that he will use you for purposes larger than you can possibly imagine. Amen.